You're listening to Lore Friendly with Chris Takahashi and Alice Bell. Alice Bell, who is back this
guys.
week.
Yeah.
After being
I
sick.
kind of died.
Sick. I'm doing the air quotes thing right now, if you can't tell. Sick.
Absolutely fucking sick, mate.
It wasn't to get out of reviewing The Defenders one more time, was it?
I actually watched the finale. It was mediocre.
Let's not talk about that ever again.
No. Never ever again, no.
How is life?
Just give me Jessica Jones.
How is school?
School is happening. It's so weird being a master's student in comparison to being an undergrad student. They treat you like an adult.
Yes, because you technically are.
Like an actual, and a colleague.
Mm.
So, our department's it's like one of the bigger departments in the country to do with like Anglo-Saxons and Vikings and things like that. But our department's still pretty small. So, the lecturers organise for all of the professors, lecturers, masters and PhD students to go out to the pub for a drink. They booked out a room and we all went there and it was lovely. I got to know some people on my course. And, when you're, like, just talking to people, you'll mention, like, oh, what you doing, like...
Yeah, that's the first thing you say. That's the first thing, obviously.
I struggle socially, okay?
You're like, hi, my name is Alice Bell. Do you play Skyrim by any chance?
Thanks. I like to think that I'm a little less socially inept than that. But, so we were talking about, like, jobs and what we do in our free time and stuff like that. And because I don't actually have a job, I was just like, oh, I do voice acting for shits and gigs, and sometimes people send me money through Patreon. And it's an interesting topic to get into. Like, it's not something you hear every day.
Yes.
So they're like, oh, yeah.
You just
so
throw it out there, hope they catch on. It's like throwing out bait.
Shut up. I have a lot of self-confidence issues, so any kind of praise or interest that people show with me, I am there for it, okay?
Alright, go on. Sorry.
Throw me a fucking bone, man.
I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you. Go on.
Yeah, you're interrupting my lovely story. Anyway, so yeah, I was like, oh, well, it's mainly like for mods and things like that, so I've done a bit for Skyrim and a bit for...
Nice.
Like Fallout 4 and stuff like that. For mods. Remember that I prefaced it with mods.
Yes, you gotta throw that self-deprecation. Yeah. Because otherwise people are gonna get the wrong idea. They're like, oh my god, are you Serana? And then you're like...
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Clearly, I have the exact same voice as Serana. I'm probably as monotone, but I'm...
Yes, I am Laura Bailey.
I wish I could be Laura Bailey.
She is wonderful.
So, she's angelic.
But anyways,
anyway,
go on.
Yeah. And because they're on a Vikings course, if they play video games, they played Skyrim kind of thing.
Yes.
It's kind of, and they're like, oh, so what have you, and then they were like, oh, so what have you done? I might have played it. And I was like, oh, I've done a bit for interesting NPCs. And this one guy, one of the 3 Americans on our course has 14 people on it. And people come from all over the world for this course. And he was like, oh, I've played that. And I was like, well, shit. Well, shit, mate. And that's how I made friends on my course.
Nice.
By making myself sound more interesting than I actually am.
But you are
I
interesting.
met someone who'd heard my shit in real life, and I didn't have to show it to them first.
You were basically like an actress.
Yeah. Like, fuck, man, get me at Comic-Con.
Well, that's the wrong word I'm using. You're basically like a celebrity. Take 2. I'm like an actress. You're basically like a celebrity, is what I was trying to say. Before I fucked that up.
Yeah, I'm definitely one of the 14 most famous people on my course.
It's always kind of weird because, like, with interesting NPCs, it's like, okay, so, like, how much did you actually play of it? Because there's people who play it, and then they meet, like, 5 people, they don't like 3 of them, they uninstall, right? And then there's people who, like, play it all the way through, and they know every quest, and they've like, taken all the followers, and so... It's just like, yeah, you never know. You're going to be like that guy who's negging you. You're going to be like, so, you play interesting NPCs, huh? Well, do you know this? Do you know this follower? Do you know this quest? You're going to have to, like, test this guy before he passes muster.
What the fuck?
Hello?
Sorry, There's some banging going on. 1 second, let me go check it out. Yeah, I just heard some massive banging, and I'm sorry about that. I don't like the door going at 9 o'clock at night. It's a bit scary.
Banging is
okay.
always scary.
So especially for like a bit of context, we live in a student area, and students are loud and noisy. And last night when I got in from watching the original Blade Runner in preparation for next week's podcast, I got in at like 11 o'clock. And there were some students singing the Proclaimers, as in, and I would walk 500 miles, like, across the road and stuff. And I was like, guys, it's Sunday. Please go to bed. And I was just joking with my housemates around it, like, haha, I never thought that we'd see the day that we'd be adults and la la la, and going in bed for 11 and stuff. And then, look on the local news today. Apparently it was a house party of over 100 people, and they completely destroyed the wall between two houses, and they didn't stop until 5 o'clock in the morning.
Is Jake Paul in Nottingham?
Who's Jake Paul?
He's some YouTube guy who like stages house parties in front of his own home or people's home and does all this vandalism and shit. I don't know. Anyways, I made a YouTube, like, youthful reference, and you didn't get it. You really are an adult.
Oh, God. Fuck. Next thing you know, I'll be drinking responsibly.
Yes.
Huh.
It all comes with being a graduate student.
Ugh. I can't believe you're making references that I don't get.
But yeah, speaking of news, I mean, news is just awful. I don't even want to look at the news, but...
No. I've got some fun news.
Yes, so do I.
So there's a massive hurricane in Ireland called Hurricane Ophelia.
It's a Shakespeare name, right?
Classical.
Is that Hamlet's girlfriend?
Super classical, you know? But, yeah, all we've really had being in England is, you know, a bit of wind, stuff like that. Oh, and yeah, the sky turned red.
Oh, nice.
It was like the end of the world. It was fucking amazing.
A blood moon. Is that like a werewolf thing or is that a vampire thing?
I think it's both. Or like when you're near an Oblivion Gate.
Ah, it could be that. So there's an Oblivion Gate in Nottingham.
Yeah.
No wonder Jake Paul is in the area.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
So anyways, Oblivion Gate. What are we talking about?
The Oblivion Gates are responsible for BT being shitheads. I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
Basically, we've just had to call and recall each other like 3 times because the internet is being a dick. And I don't know why. This is my formal complaint to BT. I'm going to tweet at them as well.
Anything else you want to add about your Oblivion Gate story? Besides Jake Paul being in your house.
Stay safe if fuck off. Stay safe if you're in Ireland, I guess. Don't do an Ophelia and don't do a Hamlet because, I mean, it's one of Shakespeare's great tragedies for a reason. So kind of, you know, don't fall out of trees and don't poison/stab your uncle and accidentally murder your mother and your girlfriend's dad, and don't speak to ghosts.
I don't think it's that kind of hurricane. I think it's just the kind of weather kind.
It's just a hurricane that makes the sky go red and brings about Ragnarok.
Yeah, it's actually much worse than what happens in Hamlet.
It's just Hamlet, but on a bigger scale.
Yeah. Moving on. This podcast is on YouTube, and one of the things that's been happening recently is YouTube has been flagging a lot of videos, or they've updated their algorithm or something, to flag videos as not advertiser friendly, Now, they say they've been doing this like for a long time. It's only now that they've been notifying people of it.
Yeah, it's only now that they've let creators know that, oh, so this is why we're doing this. Like, they've let the companies and the advertisers with all the big money know for a long time.
Yeah.
But it's only just been rolled out so that creators are being informed about it.
Yeah, like before, I know it's been in place because like I have a Grognak trailer that has like 7,000, 8,000 views, and it hasn't earned like anything. And then it's only recently that it got flagged as like not advertiser friendly. The algorithm seems to be really weird, especially with our channel. It's flagged 3 Atomic Hour videos. There's only been 5 episodes, and one hasn't even been released yet, and 3 of them has been flagged as not advertiser friendly. It has only flagged 1 of our podcasts, which is obviously the one with the erotica reading, right? And the thumbnail of like the half-naked woman.
It's the one with clippy erotica in the title.
Yes. So I'm not even going to request a review on that. It's pretty much not going to work. But
yeah, the thing is, like, this podcast, it may not be the most, like, not safe work thing out there, but the kind of shit that we talk about, like, come on, guys, you really, if you're flagging up virtual fucking guns and shit, then you should flag up all the dick talk that goes on in every one of these. Maybe they just couldn't be asked to go through.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's an algorithm, right? So it should be able to detect all the horrible things we're saying. Because I think that's what's flagging the Atomic Hours, because Frank, the host, he's like saying like security, kill that guy, or like murdered or something like that.
Yeah.
He'll say words that probably trigger the algorithm. I think it could be that. It also could be that the algorithm's just racist against ghouls, because I have a settler video that is just a ghoul talking. He's just a ghoul. He's a nice guy. He's just talking about wanting to work on a settlement. Got flagged as not advertiser friendly. So maybe it's just like the close-up of the ghouls that is just like sees. Yeah, it's really weird. It's just a settler. I don't understand why that got flagged. But then I started like thinking, okay, Atomic Hour has 3 flags, so I'm not sure. But then not all the Atomic Hour videos got flagged. So the hard part is the lack of transparency. If you know what gets triggered, then you know what to avoid next time, right?
Yeah, like if they had a system similar to the copyright flag thing where it tells you exactly at which point the copyrighted material comes up, like why can't they, if they're using an algorithm, why can't they give you a timestamp as to where the thing that marks a video as being unadvertiser friendly, advertiser unfriendly, English,
especially since they can't review a video unless you get like 1,000 views in 7 days, which we are not going to get. So they only have limited manpower to do like manual reviews, right? So it's like if the algorithm flags it, it's pretty much toast.
That's it, we're done.
Yeah, we're not going to make those pennies this month. But yeah, that's the thing. I always feel like it should be more on the side of the content creators and the advertisers, because you always got to think about what's the worst that can happen. So the worst thing that can happen is an advertiser gets shows its ad on a video that is just horrible, like it's like a neo-Nazi video or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Any like discerning, intelligent human being realizes that it's not the advertiser's fault.
Yeah. And if it gets flagged up to the advertiser, then they can quite easily request to remove the advert from being connected to that certain video.
Yeah. So I feel like it should err on the side of the content creators. Right now it's erring on the side of the advertisers. It's being extra cautious, and that's kind of costing both YouTube and the content creators money. So but at the same time, those advertiser relationships are important. So, I mean, YouTube knows that the content creators are going to be there no matter what. So I guess maybe that's kind of playing into their decision. But it is funny, just in general, how much we get away with. I mean, we swear a lot, don't we?
Oh, yeah. We're so fucking advertiser unfriendly.
I think we should try and do this entire podcast with just saying the most horrible things, but using euphemisms instead of just like blatantly saying the F word.
So like, what rhymes with duck
Me and a coworker used to do this at work because you can't swear at work, right? So we would like
Yeah.
go back and forth, make it a game, and use a euphemism for something. So if we were gonna do it with like breasts, you could say like melons or. And
That's
then,
a very original euphemism.
no,
for
because you
tit.
got to start out with just the generic ones, and then
Yeah.
whoever is the first to like not think of one loses the game, more or less. It's kind of like that.
Okay, so shall we play this game, but with our favorite thing in the whole world?
Oh, penises.
Probably the one most repeated word in this podcast.
And see if we get flagged.
Yeah. New segment, guys. It's the euphemism game. Trying to keep law friendly, advertiser friendly, so that we can get that sweet
Okay.
6p a podcast. Can we put like some theme music in there as well? Like some really generic game show music
Sure, why not?
under that little intro.
I'll go first. Ding dong.
Doodle.
Bellend.
That's like going from like 0 to 60. That's not a euphemism. That's a nasty thing.
No, YouTube will not flag
Actually,
that.
yeah, it is a euphemism.
I bet you YouTube will
Probably
not flag
won't.
that.
Probably won't. Trouser snake.
Chicken, as in choke the chicken.
Cockerel.
No, that doesn't count.
Aww.
You
No.
missed.
No.
You said cock.
Roll. As in a male chicken.
Weak. We need a judge on that one.
Yeah. With some independent adjudicators.
I also looked up some things on Urban Dictionary.
Oh, you cheat.
No, not for this game. Not
Disqualified.
for this game. I looked up some very, very just like horrible, nasty things on Urban Dictionary that would
Oh,
get
good
any
Lord.
podcast flagged for not being. Because what's one of the things that gets someone flagged as not advertiser friendly? Like really,
Sexual content.
yes, really gross sexual content, right?
Yeah.
So I have like a list of things
And ghouls.
and goals. So,
Cover your ears and
yes,
maybe look for
yes.
a watermark that you can like skip to if you do not want to have your ears bleed
no,
from
but this is
the
completely
vile stuff that is going to.
No, this is completely safe for work. We're not going to get flagged. So number 1, an ape Wellington. What do you think an ape Wellington is?
A
You're never going to get
a
this.
penis with a lot of untrimmed pubes.
Good guess, but it's nowhere close. It's when you release yourself. I'm trying to use euphemisms and safe words here. It's when you release on your partner and then jam bananas up her baby making chute.
I mean, people have fetishes. That's fine. But whenever you use jam in the context of sex, that immediately like just.
Yeah, I don't think people actually do these things. I think they're just some things that people make up.
Yeah.
A dapper Dan, when a woman teabags a man's forehead, and then he takes her like juices and uses it to slick back his hair like a dapper Dan.
I mean, to be fair, I have known some guys who look really creepy who would probably do that. I feel like that's a bit more realistic.
Don't kink shame people, Alice. And lastly, the Cincinnati switcheroo, which is before engaging in coitus, you fish one of your roommate's used condoms out of the trash, you turn it inside out and put it on. So if she gets pregnant, you can say like, it's
Oh my
not
God.
mine. It's your it's
Don't
my
condoms
roommate's
have
baby.
spermicide on the inside of them?
Yes. These aren't supposed to make sense, Alice. But it's called the Cincinnati switcheroo.
I wouldn't want to put my dick near my roommate's dick if I had a roommate.
People in Cincinnati are crazy, Alice. If you ever go to Urban Dictionary, look up Cincinnati pretty much there's like 30 or 40 different sex terms that have to do with Cincinnati.
Is Cincinnati just like crazy town?
Yes, who knows? I've never been.
Apparently, according to Urban Dictionary, anyway.
There's a Cincinnati bow tie, the Cincinnati slow job. There's a lot. It's just,
I did enjoy the little bit of alliteration there, the Cincinnati switcheroo.
yeah, it's one of those words that's just fun to say. It's like Zamboni.
Cincinnati or Plimsoll.
Yeah, I like it. But that whole point of that segment was just to see if we get flagged. It was more for us than for the people.
Yeah, this is just a social experiment, guys. It's not even a prank, it's just a social experiment.
We're academics here.
Yes. We are testing the restraints of YouTube's algorithm. We're basically going to be the new Jim Sterling discovering the YouTube copyright deadlock.
We are.
Do you know what the copyright deadlock is?
I have no idea. That's why I just in a knowing way.
Okay, so basically, there's a video game reviewer called Jim Sterling, and his main show, The Jimquisition, kept on getting flagged up as having copyrighted content, and because he wanted the show to be ad-free, the copyrighted content would then have ads automatically attached to it. So he figured out the copyright deadlock, which is getting lots of different bits that are going to get claimed by different companies. So then none of them can lay claim to advertisements on the video. So therefore there's no advertisements on the video. And that was like revolutionary when he figured that out. And so we're basically trying to do that, but like we're going to burn out YouTube's algorithm for discovering advertiser-unfriendly content by being the worst human beings absolutely possible. The more you know!
Yes. Yes. When people go high, we go so low that even low people can't even recognize our depravity.
We're going so low that the algorithm's just going to go shoot right by us.
Yeah.
We are literal filth.
It's gonna like, no one listens to this crap anyway. I'm just gonna ignore it. I'm gonna save resources.
No.
I'm gonna save resources and just not even scan these videos because no one is gonna view this. We're a fatberg.
But no, it is like seriously, like it's fucking up a lot of people's business models. Like a lot of creators are having to rely even heavier on Patreon and things like that to get their shit done. Like it's had a massive knock-on effect for loads of actual creators instead of shitty creators like what we are.
Lucky for us.
Yeah.
We're shitty creators. Next segment, mod of the week. Let me send you a link. This is my mod of the week. It is for Left 4 Dead 2, and it changes all the graffiti in the game into Jaden Smith tweets.
Oh my god.
Whoa.
Oh my god. What the fuck? What the fuck? Oh my god.
So if you ever wanted your graffiti to be Jaden Smith tweets.
Oh my fucking god. This is the best thing ever.
So you get quality tweets like, how can mirrors be real if our eyes aren't real? Huh?
Wow. How has that not been a mod before?
Well, it's a mod now.
Thank you, Lord.
And it's really cool because it kind of fits. Because Jaden Smith is like kind of weird and cryptic in a way that it kind of works as graffiti in a zombie game. I don't know,
That's just amazing.
So you can have graffiti like, school is a tool to brainwash the youth. Or Kurt Cobain is still alive. He lives inside the souls of the youth. Yeah, that's kind of generic. That's not really Jaden Smithy. I like the eyes one. That one's good.
The mirrors one is an absolute classic.
Actually, reading through these tweets, it's actually like giving me an impression that Jaden Smith is kind of normal.
I think we've only ever been exposed to the absolute highlights.
Yeah. A lot of these are just regular teenage stuff.
That's basically the kind of shit that I'd have all over if I was using Twitter when I was like, how old was I? 14?
Yeah. I stand corrected. This isn't as cool as I thought it was going to be.
It was just the first couple where I was like, yes. I suppose not every tweet can be let free.
Jaden Smith, misunderstood.
Yeah.
A normal kid. That's what this mod is intending to do. He's
cleaning up his image.
Yeah. He's getting people to realize he's just a normal guy.
Just like, guys, I'm a teenager. Stop taking the shit out of me.
He puts on his space pants one leg at a time, just like everybody else. Any other mods you want to talk about?
No. Or was that a sneaky segue? Was that you trying to segue into Alice? You should mention my mod.
Pretty much. Yeah, I was nudging you toward that.
So, there is this mod that's coming out by this guy. I think you've heard of him. He's called Chris Takahashi, and he's the famous author of mods such as Interesting NPCs and Tales from the Commonwealth and Atomic Radio, and he's bringing out a new mod called Settlers of the Commonwealth, and it's fantastic. I bought Fallout 4 just to play it.
You should market all my stuff. That was incredible. The enthusiasm you showed there.
I mean, I'm a very enthusiastic person. Yeah, what can I say?
New idea. See, I brought to you the idea last time that we should not release the mod until we get like 10,000 subscribers or something. What if we did a compromise and said either we release it on December 1st or when the channel hits 5,000 subscribers? Huh? So they can get it early.
Do you really think that kind of like channel growth is remotely feasible?
We gotta learn the ways of selling out, Alice.
Yeah.
It's not easy. Keeping our integrity is not gonna get us paid.
Donate to our Patreons, guys, and click on all of our channels and follow us on social media. Yay!
We're just not those kind of people, I guess.
No, we're just two little shitheads who couldn't sell out if their lives depended on it.
In other words, we're failures.
Sorry, I feel like I'm just beginning to sound really drunk. I've noticed, like, re-listening to the podcast and stuff, like, I sound fine at the start of them. And then when we get past the 30-minute mark, it's like, now I'm drunk. I'm drunk on social interaction.
I have that effect on people.
Drunk on social interaction.
I put them to sleep. Yeah, but we're essentially failures is what I'm saying. But that's cool. I mean, like I was telling you before, you should really watch that show that I love that is over, Halt and Catch Fire. Because it's about like people like us. And so that's why I think I like it, because I think it resonates with like me.
Because it's literally you.
If I was a woman, because it centers around like two women. It started out as a show about two guys, like Jobs and Woz, and then now it's a show about like, and then it ended as a show about like two women in the tech world. But yeah, it's really feminist. But it's about like building things and like building relationships with people, and sort of like that's really what matters. The tech connects people, but in the end it's the human connections that matter. And so like even if our podcast fails or our channel fails or our mod fails, that's not the point. It's really building something and creating something together with people.
Aww.
So we don't have to succeed, Alice.
Yeah, we just do it for the fact that we're putting something into the world, no matter how shitty it is.
And we get to hang out every
week.
week.
Yeah, we're just like the closest of friends.
Well, except for the weeks you get the Defenders flu.
To be fair, like, we've done so well. We've had like streaks for days.
We have. I did not expect it to continue once your school started, to be honest. So.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to figure out the whole like work, social, gym, sleep balance, and I think I'm doing all right, to be fair.
You're doing good.
Like, I've not missed any lectures yet, which is great. Because first and second year, this time during term, I just stopped turning up to things, because it's not like I was paying $9,000 a year or anything.
But yeah, when this podcast does go viral, it's going to be completely advertiser friendly.
I feel like the most viral episode that we ever had was the one on Undertale. We need to have another hit like that, you know?
And it doesn't matter how many times we say dingleberries.
Or doolally.
Or coin purse.
Poppycock.
Yeah, well, I guess poppycock is okay. The judges say that one's okay.
I fucking love poppycock. It's my new favourite naughty word.
Yeah, if you're like
Yeah.
grandpa in like the 1920s.
I mean, we've
or
already
whatever.
established today that I'm getting old. I need to adjust my lexicon, you know?
From 20 to 97 in a day.
Yeah.
But yeah, that should be it for Lord Friendly. We're still gonna talk about Star Trek.
Yeah.
And then that'll add
So
like 20
I'll
minutes.
see you later. Toodaloo, motherfuckers. We're gonna talk about Blade Runner next week.
Yes, we are. I'm so excited to like go to the theater by myself.
I'm actually really excited to go see it. I'm going with my friends.
Oh, fancy you with your friends.
I know. It's so cool, right? We have like a cinema 5 minutes away from me, and we've already discussed this. We've already discussed how excellent the cinema that I live next to is. With Ronya.
Yes. So it doesn't need to be said.
No, it doesn't. Go watch that podcast if you want to hear about my excellent cinema. And all the food that we sneak in. Right, anyway, sorry. See y'all next week.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye!
Oh. Alright. So now we're bringing on Unoctium to talk about Star Trek Discovery Episode 5. What were your thoughts on this week's episode?
I saw your comment below saying you changed your entire mood. You're no longer dumping the show.
No, I'm back on. I'm back on the bandwagon, baby.
Yeah, and I saw it. I was like, oh, it can't be that good, can it? It can't jump that much quality in a week. And I have to say, I was wrong. It did.
They kind of brought back the mystery for me. Especially with the ending, which I guess we'll get to later. But I mean, the fact that the show is called Star Trek Discovery, and it was like just a basic war show, and the ship itself was like a warship, right? There was really nothing to discover. It felt like it was all like set in stone, and that we knew where everything was going. But in this episode, it was just there was that mystery that came back, and it was just the characters themselves. They would get into like interesting conflicts where we had like Saru taking over as the captain, and him trying to kind of navigate his own personal desires and his own feelings toward Burnham with what was ultimately right. And there's sort of this confusion and conflict with him that I found interesting. So we started delving into some of the other characters beyond Burnham. We had Stamets make a critical decision to like, because the whole episode's called Choose Your Pain, right? And we had him choosing taking the pain upon himself in order to save the tardigrade. We had like characters like making these kind of tough moral decisions in order to fit the narrative, and it really worked beautifully, I guess, the way it all came together. So I really liked this episode, and he even had Dwight Schrute.
Oh yes,
which was a surprise. But yeah, what were your thoughts?
I just think the moment they took the tension off Michael Burnham, as soon as Michael Burnham was dismissed to her quarters, it became interesting.
Yeah. That is true.
And I think if Michael Burnham took the tardigrade injection, there would be like a whole 3D sequence which she would see the universe and then like become more powerful. And like
yeah, that was kind of where I thought it was going too at the beginning, because the opening sequence we have her in the machine screaming, right? And that's basically been her way of doing things. She would always not listen to orders, disobey, and take it upon herself to do what was right. That has been her MO through the first 4 episodes, right? And it was kind of a striking difference to see her follow Saru's orders, like not disobey, and go sit in the room and let that decision play out on its own, which was kind of even growth for her, I think, in a weird way. By doing nothing, she was kind of almost, I don't want to say breaking character, but almost showing another side of her that she's willing to take an order and stand down, whereas she didn't previously.
Yeah, I was just glad we had 45 minutes where the perfect character wasn't in the main spotlight, so we had
Yeah.
like several flawed characters sort of faced with big choices to make. And
yeah, and it sort of makes the show greater as a whole, because I mean, it's a show that, unlike previous Star Treks, it's a much smaller cast, right? A lot of the characters have been kind of expendable in a way, but we haven't really had much development out of the other characters. It's been Michael, right? In this episode, we get Stamets making a huge decision. We get Saru dealing with conflicts, and we even got more backstory on Lorca, which is pretty interesting. So,
yeah.
Any thoughts on that whole sequence where he got kidnapped? And
yeah, I really like that part because it definitely it wasn't his history which was interesting. It was the fact that all the decisions and conflicts he made, he was facing, and he seemed to have he had less of a sort of showdown with the Klingons and more of a showdown with Harry Mudd, who seems to be less of a comic relief character and more of an interesting antagonist. So I saw.
I don't remember him from the original Star Trek. What was he like in that one?
Oh yeah, he was. I don't remember either, but he was just some con artist who didn't do much. He's generally just sort of a funny character who they can just add. They can get Rainn Wilson to play him.
Yeah, because the whole episode was centered sort of on these kind of moral choices and choosing your pain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you put it on someone else? Do you put it on a stranger? Or you take it upon yourself, and how that builds trust or disloyalty or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So with Lorca, his MO throughout was like, just do whatever it takes, right?
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't really give a shit if people are hurt. He just wants to win the war. The end that justifies the mean, more or less. But so in this episode, we got sort of like a little bit of both. He didn't take the pain upon himself. He had the Klingon beat up his like officer, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it turned out that was sort of a plan to kind of get out. And then he also, there was a sequence where he like left the officer behind because the officer's like, I'm slowing you down. And then Lorca, in typical Lorca fashion, just goes off. He's like, yeah, sure.
No, that was the funniest part. It was like the officer was like, "Leave me behind, Captain, only." And he's like, "Okay, bye."
Yeah. But he also came back and shot the Klingon that was about to kill him. So it's kind of like you got a little bit more shades of gray with him instead of just this whole black and white thing where he's just going to do whatever it takes, right?
I wonder if he's planning to use the character or something like that.
Yeah.
No, but no, I found that sequence just quite interesting. Just Lorca just basically saying, pointing to people, "Hurt him, not me. I've still got a life to live."
And he did abandon his old crew too.
Yeah.
But even then, he kind of tries to paint it off as like this moral choice, like he didn't want them to suffer or whatever. So there's a little bit more shade of gray than before, I think. But he's still kind of like a guy who would put himself first.
It's definitely kind of mixed. I mean, when I heard that history, I was just like, oh, so he's just a former captain then who just, like, his old ship got blown up and he just got given this one. But definitely, despite the fact that you know a little bit more of his history is more clear. He's still a bit of a mystery. You still don't know what he's actually going to decide when it comes down to it. And like, he definitely was more of a protagonist this episode, where in other episodes he was more of a,
antagonist. Yeah.
So, because he was a protagonist, he definitely played the anti-hero captain who was interesting, and definitely the fact that he left behind Harry Mudd, because in earlier series, no captain would do that. Like, even if it was like the fucking Borg Queen.
That's true.
They would try and save her or something like that. It's just like, oh, do you realize I'll start the Borg Collective again? I don't care. Life is important. But like, he's like, oh, you betrayed me, so I'm going to leave you here to die.
Yeah. That is true. Like, in most cases, like, the good guys are just so good that it's almost comical, and like how it's going to come back and bite him in the ass. But in this instance, he did the practical thing, but they kind of implied that it would come back to bite him in the ass anyway.
Well, like Rainn Wilson, I mean, he's like A-list actor, is definitely going to return.
Yeah, because like, it was funny because the beard, you didn't really, like, I didn't recognize it was Dwight right away. I was like, man, this guy sounds a lot like Dwight. Mm-hmm. And then I kind of Googled it. I'm like, oh shit, it is Dwight. Mm-hmm. Dwight's in Star Trek. But yeah, it's like, I just can't wait for Jim to show up. It's because
No, I wish, like, I don't know that this kind of other officer guy, like, who they recruit on board the Discovery after they rescue him, he might be mysterious, but I wish he kind of disappeared off into the corridor where Lorca would say, oh, I'd help Harry, and then, like, quickly he'd, like, inconspicuously just throw Harry back in. I prefer that if rather than the officer just kind of agreeing to leave Harry behind, because I do like the fact that Lorca standing out as this particularly amoral Starfleet officer. So I think, like, if another Starfleet officer was there, they'd be like, oh no, we got to save him, he's an innocent. But like, because everyone sort of goes along with it, it kind of took a little bit of the quality there.
Yeah, you mean like a little bit of, like, just a sneaky kind of push him back in.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely like Lorca to be sneaky. I mean, it would definitely make him more interesting. But now the fact it's like, oh, I'm going to commit this genocide. Is everyone okay with that? Yeah. Everyone's fine.
He just He just does not give a fuck sometimes.
Yeah.
What do you think about the new character that they brought on the ship? I mean, it seems like he's gonna have a central role, right?
Well, he's definitely. There's definitely opportunity for a fifth column guy, I guess, because he's been sleeping with that Klingon captain.
Oh yeah, that. But he seemed a little bit like, I mean, he wasn't sleeping; it was rape, right? I mean, it was basically Klingon rape. He seemed like he was like a victim.
Oh, no, it was like a choosing your pain thing. So, like, he definitely chose to sleep with her. I mean, he could have just said no.
Well, it wasn't like a choice between sex and then having cupcakes. You know, it was like a choice between sex and physical torture, right? So it was essentially rape in that regard.
I still think there's like maybe some form of relationship there. I suppose it's still rape. There's still some sort of, like, we'll be seeing her again, obviously, because she wasn't blown to pieces.
Right. That was kind of like, what are you doing? Why not just shoot the rest of her? You kind of like shot the side of her face and ran. It was a little.
I mean, I do like they're interesting more of these periphery Klingon characters. They're all different from one another. I prefer that because it's very easy, like in the old Star Trek Next Generation, Deep Space Nine mold, where they were all grizzled warriors who had seemingly had big economic depressions because everyone in the Klingon Empire was a grizzled warrior and no one farmed. And definitely all the characters seemed a bit boring, and the only one who seemed a bit different was Worf. In this case, like they seem to have different varieties of Klingons, which is definitely preferable.
More three-dimensional.
Yep.
Yeah, was Lorca there when he was hitting her though? Because that seemed like pure animosity rage.
Oh no,
like,
I think Lorca had basically left them behind at that point, and then came back and said, "I've changed my mind. I think I might need you to get me."
Yeah, so it definitely wasn't a show, right? So he's not a spy. Like, I don't know. I mean,
I know you can have what's the word? Sleeper agents who don't know they're sleeper agents. Definitely.
That's true. Like Battlestar Galactica, even.
Not as bad as that. You can have characters who are conflicted. Not people who are literally on and off sleeper agents, but like characters who are just like, the first thing I want to do is escape from the ship, and I hate you so much, and I'll beat you up. But then as soon as he's on, he starts to realize, I may have different, things,
Could be Stockholm syndrome or something. I don't
know. Yeah.
It's definitely going to bring a bit of conflict, I think. Because normally, characters like that, they usually die helping Lorca escape, right? They make a sacrifice, that's their one episode, and that's it, right? But to bring him on the ship means that deliberately he's going to play a role. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes. Another mystery added to the show. And the final one, I mean, the Targaryen was let go, which made everyone happy, which made us happy for sure. Because that's the ending we wanted, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as Stamets took Targaryen's place in the spore drive, the last cliffhanger scene was he was brushing his teeth in front of the mirror. He left the mirror, and then his image stayed, kind of smiling creepily. And so that was like a great way to end the episode. I like did not expect that at all. So, but it leaves like all these like mysteries and just wonder as far as like the episodes going forward, like what's gonna happen, what is happening to Stamets. Like, does he have control of this thing? Is it just some kind of evil force, or is it just like some kind of byproduct of using the spore drive? I mean, there's like so many questions. It's just,
well, we have no idea what it is. It's just definitely that's not normal, and something that something is going on.
Do you think there's gonna be like a horror element to it though, or is it gonna be something else, like just his own deterioration or something, and the characters are gonna have to like decide whether the sacrifice is worth it? Like what we talked about before with the tardigrade, is it like a moral thing, or is it like a horror thing coming in from like an eldritch world like we were talking about?
Sure, I don't know. I'm just the moment I saw that, I just thought, oh, he'll die eventually, and they'll just start tossing prisoners of war into the warp drive, to power it.
Could be true. See, that's more of a moral dilemma type thing, right? Where we recognize the thing kills you, and then it becomes a character conflict of whether it's like ethically correct to use it, right? Or is it going to become like this mysterious like horror thing that haunts them, and they don't know what's like causing like damage to the ship or causing deaths?
It's definitely like I think it's definitely a device for character conflict. There's always been this case where it's like, oh, is it going to be a horror episode, or is it going to be a war episode? Like, this is definitely a character heavy series, and while at the same time it's not, it sometimes isn't written well to be enough to be a character written series. It's definitely that. So everything that you see in the show is definitely an opportunity or a MacGuffin or a device for characters to conflict and which is definitely something that will last for it. I think at least for 15 episodes at least. And no, I liked I liked Stamets in this episode. He sort of came off as more
heroic.
Yeah, heroic, but he came off as more rounded than before.
Yeah. The fact that he was empathetic, like, I wasn't really sure what to make of the characters before. Like, it kind of surprised me when Saru was like so adamant about like using the tardigrade and just doing whatever it takes, and it surprised me that Stamets wasn't, that he was like for helping the tardigrade. So you kind of learned a little bit more about the ancillary surrounding or supporting cast around Burnham, because we already know what she's about, more or less. And just the fact that we got this window into their lives and their character, it just gave the show more depth, and so I'm a little bit more excited about what's going to happen.
I also liked when Saru was having his sort of... They affect so many subplots in this episode. It's quite amazing.
Yeah.
When Saru was having his subplot where he felt kind of, I'm not a good enough captain or whatever, and he brought up the best captains in Starfleet history. And it's literally who do we know up before this time? I was just expecting to bring up Jean-Luc Picard, who just wasn't born yet.
Well, there has to be one like Elon Musk guy.
Yeah, they were saying bring up the
Chuck
best
Yeager.
Bring up the best captains from Starfleet. Bring up the most brave and decorated captains from Starfleet history. And I'm just sitting there watching this and go, oh, they're going to bring up Jonathan Archer. They're going to bring up him. And then Jonathan Archer's name just appeared across the screen. And he's like the guy from Enterprise who constantly got into trouble all the time. And I'm thinking, when was he decorated? After the series ended?
Man, well, or that, or every other officer is just terrible at his job.
And then it's like, it brings up though, who else apart from these 5 white men should we put up there? And it's here's Giorgio. I suppose she can go up there as a
Yeah.
And
yeah, but it was definitely kind of a good way to show his insecurities, and it was a nice way to end it as well, as he kind of shut off the program, right?
I mean, he would feel much better if it said, "Computer, show me the worst Starfleet captains in history." Yeah. Gabriel Lorca's face just appears on the screen. I mean, at least I won't do as bad as him,
Yeah. There's only one way to go. It's up.
Blowing up his crew for the lulz,
I think just overall we had like good character development, and I feel like they had more of a direction at the same time keeping more of the mystery, and that we didn't have in previous episodes.
Definitely feels more of a direction and more at the same time you don't know what's going to happen. So
yeah, exactly.
You definitely feel like the Klingon
more
thing
invested.
there's the Klingon things going on, and the character conflicts, and you definitely feel that this warp drive is just going to be a continuing mystery for everyone. That's just going to force people to make bigger and bigger choices, which is all you want from a story, really.
So I'm excited. Back on the bandwagon. We don't know what's going to happen. We might have to hop off. Our knees might start hurting from jumping on and off. But right now, we're on.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about? Or
did you like the Star Wars trailer from last week?
People say it was a little bit too spoilery, but
yeah.
I feel like it was pretty ambiguous. Like the whole Kylo Ren and Rey joining forces thing. Like, we don't know how that's going to play out.
I felt like that was a bit of a cheap shot, because there were completely different backgrounds of Rey, asking...
Oh, were they?
Yeah.
So she might have not have been talking to fucking Kylo Ren. She might have been talking to fucking Tree or something.
Yeah, like, oh, I need you, Tree. Kylo puts his arm out to fucking Phasma or a pork. Yeah. Everyone seems to dislike Force Awakens, and I'm just like, I love it. And I like.
The main criticism is that it's a reboot. It's like a take by take reboot of the original, right?
But I feel like the characters are completely different. Like, they just play completely different roles. It doesn't. You can blow up a million planet destroying weapons or whatever with like a handful of planes or whatever, and but the characters are completely different. Like, people say, oh well, Obi-Wan is Han, and I'm like, well, they're completely different characters. They're with completely different ways of looking at things. Like, and Rey is completely different from Luke, and it's just it kind of tells you about the person more than the film, really. In my
Yeah,
opinion.
I think it's also probably not going to really follow the same course
Yeah.
all the way through. I mean, maybe chapter 1 shares some of the same beats, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's like a entire book. Like you can't judge it on one chapter. So
Well, one really interesting theory I've come across. I mean, do you want to hear the theory, unless you want to completely?
sure, go. No, go ahead.
Well, there was a Star Wars computer game that came out a while back by Obsidian, which brings sort of in a circle to Fallout New Vegas. But they released a Star Wars game called Knights of the Old Republic 2. But the thing is I played the game and it was all a bit over my head back when I played it. But I think recently,
I don't remember it. I've beaten both games, but I couldn't remember a single plot detail from either.
Well, the interesting thing
it was an old woman.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing about the second one is that you play a character who everyone likes for no reason and can do anything she wants, and it's a she in canon history, who displays magical superpowers for no reason, like moments after she gains her powers back, and all the characters around her like her inexplicably and gravitate towards her. And the reason why, and it's almost like you're playing this Mary Sue character that everyone loves and can do anything. You're basically playing Michael Burnham without being put in prison. But the reason why it actually plays in itself, because the reason why that happens is because the character you play is a wind in the Force. Like, apparently, historically, your character blew up a planet or something, which caused the deaths of so many people that actually caused a sort of hole in the Force. So you've become a sort of personification, the avatar of this sort of hole in the Force. There's like the dark side of the Force, and then there's this little puncture in the Force which kind of pulls everything into it, and that's why people sort of find some reason to gravitate towards you.
And that's what you think is gonna happen with Rey and Kylo, like they're kind of this hole in the Force or whatever.
I wouldn't say Kylo's a hole in the Force, but like I would say he's a particularly well trained Sith Jedi or whatever. But like if that turns out to be that Rey is something innately sinister like that, like a hole in the Force.
Yeah.
Like that would be the amazing twist to that scene at the end of Force Awakens, where she literally becomes more super powerful. I mean, even I even I who liked the film, found it was like, why is this amateur becoming immediately so powerful so quickly? Like, if that is the case, I think that would make this film really good. The problem is I think it's too complicated a
narrative
to really convey
kind
the
of
film.
to convey to especially to children. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because Star Wars is for kids, more or less.
I mean, even KOTOR 2 couldn't even convey it properly. You had Chris Avellone writing paragraphs of people just saying things over and over, trying to tell you the idea, and there's sort of young teenage me just sort of listening. I have no idea.
And the other problem is they already put in the family history mystery, the dad and mom twist, because I mean, I hope they don't do it again, but I mean, it's already written into the first episode that we don't know who her parents are, and it's a mystery, right? So it's gonna be a twist.
I mean, it could be Snoke, to be fair.
Could be Obi-Wan.
It could be Obi-Wan, yeah. Either or, compared to all the other films I've seen this year, I'm quite excited about that.
Yeah, but I do think that sort of twist is a lot better than the whole parental twist, which is would be mirroring the old series again, and that would just bring back the old criticisms. It'd be kind of funny though if they just made her parents just nobodies, just two people who lived on a desert planet.
I mean, if it was a retread of Empire Strikes Back, I'd be like, "What, did I wait 2 years for this?" At least, and at least with the prequels, it was a whole new film, a whole new bad film, but everything felt different each time. And where with this, it's it's Empire Strikes Back again. Do you like us? And I'm like, no. So I mean, on the one hand, that thing I described is probably a bit too complex, but
no, I don't think that's too complex. I think it's a little bit harder for people to understand the technical aspects of it. It's easy to understand that, okay, this person is dangerous, you know what I mean, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
The hard part to understand would be the technical aspects of, okay, why is she dangerous? Okay, do you have scientific calculations to explain that in midichlorians or whatever? That stuff is for certain difficult to grasp. But I think the basic fact that if you tell the story right, if you can convey that she is a dangerous element, then that in itself should be easy, and it should be good. I would like that. It's interesting.
I mean, the trailer already conveys there's a sort of intimate triangle. I mean, I don't know if Luke is related to Snoke, but there's like a Snoke, Rey, and Luke, and things like that.
Yeah, the fact that Luke is scared of her is in effect conveying that element that she's dangerous, right? That her power is dangerous. We don't know if the source of that is what you were describing, like what happens in KOTOR 2. But at the very least, we're given the sense that she has immense power and that she might not be able to control it. And the same with Kylo with his like crazy little lightsaber that's just all jagged and shit, right? Mm-hmm. So that sort of element of danger is conveyed. So I think as long as you convey that, the whole reasoning behind it, whatever science or fantasy magic you need to explain it, like in the lore, like you can put that in there in some kind of like side text or whatever, right? You don't really need to explain it that thoroughly. It's kind of like the difference between like when you're playing Dragon Age, there's a general story and then there's a codex, right? Mm-hmm. And if you want to dig deeper into the codex, you can. If you want to just play the story straight, you can. And the general themes are there. So, but after Star Trek Discovery, I'm kind of done with predictions because they're all wrong anyway. So, we'll see. Yeah. So I guess that's it for this episode of Lore Friendly. We'll see you next week.
I was playing music at the same time, so I've just had to stop playing said music.
I am playing our new live stream.
It's so cool!
It does not seem to be buffering, even though we are talking on the same internet.
Oh, shit.
Which is good.
Do you think we should get more than one viewer on it? just see how that deals.
No, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter because it uploads, then it's up to the server. It's YouTube who handles all the viewers.
Oh, shit, that's so cool. So basically, guys, you're going to be able to listen to all of your favorite commercials, radio plays, reality TV shows in the Fallout universe without having to play Fallout 4.
Yeah, that's how
there
good
you go, guys.
The commercials are. You're actually going to be waiting for the music to end so you can listen to the commercials. That's how it works.
Hopefully. I mean, let's face it, the commercials are better than the music. What?
The music is fine, Alice.
You know what's going to be quite funny is like if you had accidentally put a death metal track in the middle of the live stream and it just randomly pops up and it bursts out people's headphones. I think you should maybe consider that as an update to the live stream.
Yeah, death metal would be okay. If it was like something like really bad porn or something, that would kind of get people in trouble.
Or we could just put like spooky, scary skeletons on for one day in Halloween. Add that to the live stream.
There are horror stuff. That's the one thing I couldn't do is because it's just a repeat and shuffle of all the tracks. Like I couldn't like designate the time like you can in the mod. Like in the mod, like the horror shows only play at night. The cartoons only play in the morning. Now they just play whenever.
I had no idea you put that much thought into it.
Well, it's easy to condition by time in the game.
Yeah.
You don't want a horror show playing at like 10 in the morning when the kids are up. So that's basically... I mean, it's not like it took a lot of thought to do that.
I mean, what if you want to traumatize your kids, Chris?
That's true.
Atomic Radio does not cater to my needs.
Well, you're just going to have to listen to the live stream then because you don't know what's coming. It's completely
I'll just
random.
wake up and suddenly, boom! Horror show! Yeah, boy.
Yeah. What else were we going to talk about?
Hi, everyone. You're listening to Lore Friendly.
Yeah, that's right. We didn't do a start. But
That sounded really violent. Are you okay? It sounded like you heard.
Oh no, I did it louder than normal. I wasn't sure if you were gonna be able to hear it. Oh, can you hear this?
No, I heard it.
Can you hear that? Do I need to recalibrate my?
What are you slapping?
It's the mouse pad.
Are you just like clapping, or are you hitting your knee, or what?
I'm hitting the mouse pad. Anyways, So, speaking of foul language and stupidity, I don't know. Say a bad word so I can segue.
Bum.
There was like a lot of portions there where like I was listening to you, but then like I couldn't really like understand what you were saying because like the connection.
Yeah,
was
I got
going
like
on.
a lot of slow-mo from you. It was quite funny. It's like
Yeah, no, that's just the way I talk.